Most people assume animals don't understand death. We picture them as living entirely in the present, unaware that anything is ended, incapable of grief the way we experience it. But that assumption has been quietly falling apart for years, and what scientists have actually documented is far stranger, and in some ways far more unsettling than simple ignorance.
Let's start with elephants, because they may understand death better than almost any other species on Earth. Elephants don't just notice when a member of their herd dies, they return to the body. They touch it with their trunks, gently, repeatedly, almost as if checking. Researchers have documented elephants standing silently beside a dead companion for hours, sometimes covering the body with branches and leaves. And here's the part that's hard to explain away. Elephants do this even for elephants they didn't know. They've been observed pausing at the bones of strangers, touching the skull, lingering in a way that looks remarkably like recognition.
Is that grief? Scientists are careful with that word, but whatever it isn't nothing. Then there are chimpanzees, our closest living relatives. In multiple documented cases, chimpanzee mothers have carried the bodies of their dead infants for days, sometimes weeks, long after decomposition had begun. From a purely practical standpoint, this makes no sense. The infant provides no benefit, there's no biological reason to keep carrying it, and yet they do, which suggests something is happening that goes beyond simple instinct.
Crows take a different approach entirely. When a crow dies, nearby crows often gather around the body. Researchers initially assumed this was simple curiosity, but experiments revealed something more specific. Crows use these gatherings to learn. If a crow sees a human near a dead crow, it will treat that specific human as dangerous for years afterward, and it will teach other crows to do the same. In other words, crows don't just notice death, they use it as information. Death becomes a warning system passed through the flock. But here's where it gets genuinely strange, because some animals don't behave as though they understand death at all, and that absence might be just as revealing as the presence.
Octopuses, for example, show no apparent response to death whatsoever. When one octopus dies, others may simply pass by, completely indifferent. Some researchers believe this isn't a failure of intelligence. Octopuses are remarkably intelligent in other ways. It may simply be that their evolutionary path never required an understanding of death as a concept, because their solitary lifestyle never demanded it. That raises an important point. Understanding death isn't really one single thing. It's not a switch that's either on or off. It exists in layers. The most basic layer is simply recognizing that an individual has stopped moving and won't move again. Many species seem to grasp this. The next layer is recognizing death specifically, distinguishing it from sleep, injury, or unconsciousness. Fewer species manage this convincingly. And the deepest layer, the one almost no species besides humans clearly demonstrates, is understanding death as something that will eventually happen to you specifically, an abstract, future, personal inevitability. That third layer might be uniquely human, or it might not be. We genuinely don't know, because there's no reliable way to ask an animal whether it understands its own mortality. Dolphins offer one of the most haunting examples in this entire conversation. Dolphin mothers have been observed pushing the bodies of their dead calves through the water for days, sometimes resisting attempts by researchers to remove the body. Some scientists interpret this as an extended struggle to understand what has happened, almost as if the mother is testing reality repeatedly, hoping for a different outcome. And then there's the case that troubles researchers the most: magpies. In a widely discussed study, magpies were observed gathering around a dead magpie, calling loudly, then placing blades of grass beside the body before falling silent and dispersing. Some researchers compared the behavior to a funeral. Others pushed back hard, arguing we're projecting human rituals onto behavior we don't fully understand. And that pushback matters, because here's the uncomfortable truth running underneath all of this. We want animals to understand death the way we do, because it would make us feel less alone in our own mortality. But wanting something to be true and it actually being true are very different things. What we can say with confidence is this: many animals clearly notice death. Many respond to it with behavior that looks like grief, confusion, or ritual. Some use it strategically as information that improves survival. And some appear to feel almost nothing at all. Not because they're simple, but because their evolutionary path simply never required it. Maybe the real answer isn't whether animals understand death, Maybe the real answer is that death means something different to every species, shaped entirely by the kind of life that species evolved to live. And maybe that should change how we think about our own relationship with death, too. Not as some universal truth every conscious creature eventually arrives at, but as one species' particular way of making sense of an ending that every living thing, in its own way, has already learned to recognize.